we just wrapped up a great show with Matt, and I hope that it adds value to your life. We talked about building leaders. We talked about growing an incredible business and a great dream life. We talked about being coachable to mentors and how to use mentors the right way. We talked about balance and adding value to every area of your life. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope it helps, and I hope you enjoy the show.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Have another amazing guest today, Jaime Villalovos. Before we get into the questions, I just want to give you guys a background on her. She's an amazing person. First of all, and this is in order of what I believe is important, she's a mom to 4 kids. She's a philanthropist. She's an investment advisor, which this is pretty amazing. She became a 7-figure earner by the time she was 30 years old. So we're going to hear about that. And that's really amazing. She's an author. She has a phenomenal book coming out. I pre-ordered it. I didn't get it yet, but it's coming out, I believe, May 17th. She's a coach. She's an entrepreneur. So Jaime, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. I'm excited to be with you today.
This is going to be so much fun. You know, we had a long conversation about a month ago and your energy was awesome. It's just like, you can feel it coming through the phone, and I can feel it through the screen now. So, you know, the people that watch this show, they come to watch it because of the reason we do it. And so I'm glad you're here. The reason we do it is to inspire, it's to motivate, and it's to educate. So I'm looking forward to hearing your story. And I think a good place to start is, we know who you are today. Like, we know you've got a phenomenal career. You've built an amazing business, public speaker. I mean, this is like, we look at you and you're like, oh my God, how does she do all this? This person's amazing. It's true. Before we get to that, take me back to, like, connect the dots. Take me back to the beginning. I mean, what were you like as a kid? What was your life like? Like, how did this all start?
Let's see. Well, I was born in California. Actually, my parents grew up in California, and they had a very rough upbringing. Their parents were alcoholics and very abusive. And so when I was born, they decided to move out of the state, kind of just like everybody else, looking for a better quality of life. And they moved to Montana, in the middle of nowhere, northeastern Montana. I don't know if you've ever been up there, probably not, because there's nothing there. So it's really a town of about 325 people, to give you an idea. So how tiny this was, like a little village. And so very small thinking, very rural farming community, not like when you see like on Yellowstone or any of the movies of the beautiful Montana scenery. It's not like that at all. It was just flat wheat fields, you know, in any direction, probably for 6 hours. So, so not a lot to do, but also not a lot of hope.
That wasn't it.
Yeah, it was very, it's actually a high suicide rate there, because there's very much a lack of hope. There's
kidding.
High alcohol abuse. And so there was no opportunity for women. There's no jobs. My dad was in and out of work constantly. So we grew up on welfare, on WIC, on food stamps, those things. And I knew I was poor. I knew we were poor. My dad, you know, kind of told us a lot that, you know, money doesn't grow on trees and there's no money for college. And I grew up in a little tiny trailer on the edge of town. And so after 2nd grade, when my parents divorced, my mom moved out. And so I kind of went back and forth from the city to the country.
But you stayed with your dad. Your mom moved out.
My mom did. At first I went with her. And then she was raising me in the city as a single mom. It was very hard for her. She was going through her own challenges, and she thought it'd be better if I lived with my dad. And so I went back to Montana. So when I'd come to California, I would be living on Venice Beach in a little kind of like a studio with my mom, struggling. And so I became very independent at a very young age. Then my dad remarried, and he had 5 other children, and there's a big age gap between me and the other kids. So either way, I felt a big responsibility at a young age to help my younger siblings, to help my family. And so
how old were you though at that point? Like when you're referencing like 10, 11, 12 years old?
Yeah, I think I was 8 when they split up. And again, back and forth pretty much my whole life.
You know, I'm so curious, when you said you knew that you were poor because your dad would talk about it, like prior to him telling you, like you didn't know. I mean, you were just.
We did. I did.
You really did?
we lived in this little trailer that I think he found and kind of pieced together on a plot of land that I think he was squatting at, actually, and I know for a fact he was squatting at. So we didn't have much. Back to school shopping was always at a secondhand store, and I'd go to school, I'd pay for lunch with a little ticket instead of, like the other kids, because we were on government help. And the house was falling apart. We had a visqueen wall, the whole wall that was just plastic, just kind of to weatherproof it. But I remember waking up sometimes, a couple times actually, in the morning where I could see my breath, and it's freezing cold. The Alaskan winds cut right through there. It's probably one of the coldest places, and I could see my breath, and I just knew we can't even afford propane. Like, how broke are we? And
Wow.
I would grab my little sisters from their bedrooms and bring them into the bathroom and plug in a little space heater and do their hair and sing songs with them. I didn't want them to feel like I was feeling, like scared, insecure, and,
And you were aware of that. Like, you actually remember, like, you felt that and you were protective in that way. That's real.
Yeah, it was pretty much a defining moment. I could hear my parents arguing about money all the time. When we'd be in bed, they'd be fighting about which bill could we pay. And my dad would maybe say, well, maybe we could get another loan from the credit union. And I just knew I didn't want that. I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew I didn't want that. I didn't want poverty. I didn't want to be stressed about, are we going to have enough food to eat if, my dad can't get a deer that season or something, and we'd have to beg for something. So I didn't want that. I wanted more. I wanted a better quality of life for my family. I wanted, in my home, when I was married and had kids, I didn't want to have this financial stress all the time.
Wow, I can relate to what you're saying. I oftentimes will say that I grew up poor, but there's different magnitudes of that.
Yeah.
And it's all relative to where you live. Your experience is, I felt like I was poor, and I'm hearing you tell the story, and
I'm poor for United States.
no, I mean, you really had.
I've traveled to third world countries and I've seen poor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for US, we didn't have very much.
Okay, so I'm curious. I've carried something around with me for a long time. I have my own therapy, and I work through it. But I had this sense. I'm curious if you had any of this. I had this sense, for me, I was always running away from something because of my background. I never wanted to go back there. I never wanted my family, as I grew up, to have that. So I was running towards something. I was like constantly trying to build something. And there was I never felt like I got there. No matter how much I was achieving, I still felt like I was running. Do you feel that way? Or no, did you feel that way?
Sometimes I got clarity on what I wanted eventually, and that kind of helped. But I remember one time I was telling my husband, I'm like, when we're rich, I want to do this, with the house. And he's like, Jamie, you're rich. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you got there 10 years ago. Like, we're there.
Yeah, years ago. But I just, I had a fear of being poor, for sure, for a long time.
And what about, because I feel like people can relate to this. Like, what about the idea of, you've made it, your husband told you you're rich, you're like, okay, maybe we are. But in the back of your mind, does it seem like, oh, well, we could always go back there?
Kind of. I have this feeling of like, you're either growing or you're dying. You know what I mean? And so there's no such thing as plateau and stay still. You're going to start going backwards. And so I felt like, even though if I was doing well, I should be stretching my vision. I should be chasing the next dream. I should be becoming a better version of me, making a bigger contribution in the world. So I just didn't want to stay stagnant. And I for sure didn't want to go backwards.
You said there were 5 other kids, plus how many kids total?
5. Yeah.
Okay. And you're the oldest.
Sorry, there's 6. I'm the 6th, but yeah, there's 5 others. So I have I have a stepsister, and then I have the 2 sisters in the middle. And then there was twins that were born much later. They're actually pretty young. They just graduated high school a couple years ago. But when they were born, I had moved out of the house and had come to California with this idea of paying my way through school, getting a good job, helping my family back home. And then the twins were born. And when that happened, my stepmom became very ill. She's had, I don't know, probably like 50 surgeries since then.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so she became addicted to the narcotics that they put her on. And so my 9-year-old sister at the time was raising those babies. And that kind of was something that drove me quite a bit as an entrepreneur, to be able to make a difference first for them.
I could probably go for 2 hours with you and talk. This is so interesting. Like the way you like all these things that shaped you, like the whole, now everything that you're about to tell us, it makes sense. Cause I mean, that story is pretty, I mean, it's pretty formative. So, all right. So where along the line did you realize you were an entrepreneur? What did you start doing? Like did other people see it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when I was little, I was always trying to create some type of business or make something to sell. My poor sisters, I would, make stuff and make them go sell it and stuff. And it was like child slave labor. But I always had a job. I was always making money. I always wanted more. When I came out to California, I just first got a job anywhere that I could, within a walking distance, that I could get a job to make money. I had like 3 jobs until I could buy a car. I bought this horrible old Dodge Daytona, 89 Dodge Daytona. It had like holes in the sides and stuff.
I had the same car.
Did you?
I literally 89 Dodge Daytona. I had the same car.
It was the worst. It was, oh
I
my
paid
goodness.
$500 for it.
Yeah, something like that. So then I was able to get a job. I worked in a gym and quickly got promoted into management, I guess, just based on work ethic.
Yeah.
And I was working long hours. So it was hard for me to finish school because I was working 11 to 11 at the gym, 6 days a week, sometimes 7.
Wow.
And so I had to kind of slowly stop going to school, because it also meant from going from minimum wage to $67,000 a year salary at that time. And so I couldn't afford not to take the promotions. But I was working hard. I was working like an entrepreneur, like a self-employed person, really, but still being treated and paid like an employee. Again, I worked usually 6-7 days a week, 10, 11, 12 hours a day. And in a very high pressure, salesy type environment. And so, year after year, I never got to go home to see my family. There was very little recognition, even though I was number one over and over again. And what happened was, one month, I was grand opening a gym, the West LA gym. And I worked my tail off. I worked every single day that month, all day long, every day that month. And at the end of the month, I was number one. All they did was raise my quota. No appreciation whatsoever. But what also happened was, I got my paycheck in the mail, and I was kicked into a higher tax bracket.
Wow.
And I didn't make any more money. And I thought, this is stupid. I can't possibly work any harder. I can't do any more. There's no light at the end of this tunnel. You know what I mean? So I was like, no matter what I do, people that had been there 14 years longer than me still didn't have time with their family. They had no control of their income, their time, and they still had a boss that kind of had their thumb on them. And I didn't want it. I was just getting more and more dissatisfied. I wanted something of my own. I knew that if I could put my heart into something of my own, I could be successful. But what? I'm 22 at the time. I looked like I was 12. I had no time to even like put a resume together to go look for something else. And so I just started getting very, very dissatisfied, mostly with the fact that I had stopped learning. I had stopped growing. I was doing the same thing every day. Get up, go to work, go home, go to bed.
You love to be challenged.
I was getting no challenge. It was kind of like I could be thinking of 3 other things while I'm doing my job. You know what I mean? And
you're saying you need that, like you need that challenge. Like you get bored. Like it's like you have potential. You just gotta keep going.
I also you want progression. That's one of the keys to happiness, is progressing. That you're not the same today as you were the last year and the year before and the year before. And so I was just getting, more and more dissatisfied. The fact that, again, there was zero recognition. There was no leadership. So I just, I had a friend that got me into real estate. He said, I'll get you, help you get your real estate license. I know a lot of people. He was a big commercial broker. So I did that, but realized real fast that wasn't for me either. I didn't want to be at someone's beck and call and have all these things outside of my control. I wanted my own business. And I was hungry, And so luckily a lady came into the gym one day. She had never worked out before, and she's super sweet. And she's like, you're so good at the people. You should meet my husband. And he introduced me to that first business that I was in. And he was a great guy, and leadership versus management for the first time. Very, very
different. Difference. What do you think? What is that? Tell me what the difference is.
Well, management was like, no, you can't go home to Montana to see your family right now because someone's trying to take your job. Always threats, or put downs, criticism, or, dangling the corporate carrot to get people motivated. Where leadership is getting the best out of people. It's inspiring them to become more than they are,
Yes.
on their own. So for the first time, I had someone that believed in me, that, that encouraged me to think bigger. And so I started kind of part-time as a side gig just to learn. Again, I didn't feel comfortable quitting my job to do something that was completely new industry, very male dominated industry, mostly older men. Here I am, this young girl that knows zero. I knew nothing. So I came in, and but about a month and a half later, replaced my income, went full time, and then was exposed to so many great leaders. Ed Milet was one of my coaches early on. He's a great friend of mine now for about 23 years. And so
are you saying in a month and a half, you replaced all the money you were making at the gym in real estate?
I was replacing, I knew I was on track to replace what I was making.
Right.
And I knew I could. So now it didn't go exactly as planned.
It never does.
I quit my job. You know what I mean? It's a rocky road, becoming an entrepreneur. It's risk taking, obviously.
Sure.
So I did go a little bit into debt in the beginning, and had a lot of fear of, like, is this going to work? Am I ever going to make it happen here? But what I did was, and this is just good advice for any entrepreneur that's starting something new, is I kind of downsized a little bit to lower my expenses, so I'd have less worry financially, so I could focus on growing me, growing my company, growing my business. So, but I still, did go a little bit into debt. Had a little rough patch, like first 18 months or so, but I was able to replace my income and be on track to do that first year. So that was good. Kind of went up and down, but eventually we got there.
And the work ethic you have is like, people will listen to you, and many people like you that come from a similar background, right? And again, I can kind of relate. That's something that's hard to teach people, don't you think? Like, that work ethic at that young age, especially now, it seems like it's kind of forgotten. Maybe.
I don't know. I see these Gen Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to work. It's interesting. This next generation, these Gen Zs, they really do want to work. But for me, that was just, my dad was a hard worker. I mean, this guy, it was manual labor his whole life. And I think he's broken every bone. He had the most dangerous job I could ever think of. And so I didn't mind hard work. I just didn't want to work hard for someone else for the rest of my life with zero appreciation, and not have my faith and family be able to come first. So if it was for me, I don't mind working hard. Again, I do want to have a business, though, so that I can build a business and then control my time and work when I want to work. You know what I'm saying? So I was willing to, I just believe success demands you pay a price.
No question.
Success demands
There's
a price.
No question.
I would rather pay that price upfront and in full than the long grind it out forever way that most people try to do. That's no fun to me. So I don't mind. I'll throw my heart into it. I'll work up front, get everything in place, lay the tracks so that the rest of my career, we can run on those tracks and develop systems and things. And so that's kind of what I focused on my first year. I did work my tail off. I was probably working just as much as I was at the gym, but it didn't feel like that, because now, again, I was learning, I was growing, I was being challenged. I was in a positive environment around people that felt like, I felt appreciated. And
I can feel the passion as you're talking, like even your energy changed, like you were more passionate about it for all the reasons you just said.
Yeah. I felt like I was making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I felt like I was making an impact. So I loved it. Again, it wasn't easy. There were some really hard things that happened, a lot of failures and stuff too, but I just kept stumbling forward. I think my strength was I was humble enough to know that I knew nothing. So I just, searched out mentors and coaches and said, tell me what to do next, coach. And I did it right away.
There's so many characteristics and so many traits. You and I belong to the same group, the Arete group.
Okay.
And as you're talking, some of the things you're saying, these are the lessons that are taught. It's like, success demands you pay a price. Like, if nothing else even comes out of this conversation, like anybody that hears that, that's a truth.
Yeah,
Like a truth.
if it was easy, we would all be making millions of dollars, right?
Right, right.
So it's not easy, but you know what? It's so worth it. I mean, all of the hard things, all of the setbacks, all of the like nights I was in tears, like wondering if I was even going to make it. All the hard things I wouldn't take back either. All the adversity helped me to grow into the leader that can help others get through it. You know what I mean? So I think that I'm willing to pay that price as long as it's legal, legal and moral and ethical.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do it, right? To make whatever my goal is happen. But the price that I'm not willing to pay is sacrificing my faith or my family. That's too big of a price. So I was always also in search of how do I have it all? How do I have a great business, income, lifestyle, travel, but also, have my spiritual life be intact, my marriage, my kids, my relationships, those things.
Sorry, I'm taking notes while you talk. You're saying so many things that like, I got like a whole page of notes from you already. I'm gonna write a book. Oh wait, you already wrote one. I don't want to interrupt you because like you're saying such great things. Talk about failure for a second. I just heard you, I think what I heard you say, at least my interpretation was failure actually is an opportunity for growth. Somehow what you just said, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant?
It's not just failure. You know what I mean? It's all the hard stuff, all the adversity. So this life is going to be full of trials. It's one of the purposes, right, for us to grow. And so when we can't escape that, we're going to have maybe big failures, embarrassments, great ambitions and plans that we're so hopeful will we just completely fall apart because it wasn't really the ultimate plan for our lives. But there's also going to be other things like possibly a death in the family, possibly a sickness of one of our parents or one of our kids is going to go through a hard trial, which is really distracting when it's one of your kids. So there's going to be all these hard things. COVID could hit, like just pandemics, things that are totally outside of our control are going to happen. And, I just believe that all these things are for our good. There's a great book called Think and Grow Rich. And he says in every adversity, not some adversity, but every adversity, there's a seed of equal or greater benefit. Every failure has a seed within it of equal or greater benefit for our growth, for our life, for our success, our happiness, if and only if we look for it.
Only if you can see it.
Yeah, you have to look for it. And so when we're in the middle of the trial or the failure, and we just want to get in our bed and pull the covers over our head and have a pity party and suck our thumb or whatever we want to do, it's hard to say, where's the seed here? What am I supposed to be learning here? Where's the good that's going to come from it? And if you look back at all of our adversities, if we're willing to learn from them, they made us better. And so I just believe that there's two of us. There's the guy or gal that is, and one that's meant to be, that could be that second better version of ourselves. And so to get there, it's not this for sure. It's like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's climbing from peak to
sure.
valley over and over again. And when we get past one comfort zone or one trial, guess what? There's another one coming around to help us grow. And so the hard things help us overcome and become someone that can help and heal others or help them up over the next hump. And so I'm grateful for all those things and the failures and the setbacks and the all the times that I wanted to quit along the way and didn't. And now today, it's a whole.
But I want to talk about that right there. Just pause for one second.
Yeah.
Talk to so many people frankly, most people get stuck right there. Maybe there's a couple of those, but it's just too much. There's their mind, their belief system, whatever it is, like I can't do it, or it's too much, or I'm not good enough, like all these false beliefs. They don't do what you've done. They don't do what I've done. And people that you and I know, they don't keep pushing and see it the way you just explained it, and they stop, they give up.
Yeah, it's very normal. One of the reasons is that when we start off on something and we have these big exciting goals, right? We're willing to do the work, and we're going to read all these self-development books, and we're going to listen to all the podcasts, and be very, very coachable to our mentors. And then we hit a comfort zone and we get past it. Let's say we grow past that and we think, wow, we made it. but that's just the beginning. You're going to hit another comfort zone. You're going to hit another challenge, again, for our good, to help you get here. So sometimes it's mistaking the beginning for the end. That's one thing. The other thing is you get to a certain spot. Maybe it's, I see it a lot at $250,000 income or $500,000 income, and they plateau. And they start to tell themselves, they start to rationalize, well, I've worked so hard for so long. I deserve a break. I deserve to enjoy whatever it is. Well, they haven't planned their life properly, so they should have been enjoying the journey the entire time, right?
That's right.
They burn out. They burn out, and they say, you know what? I think I'm good. I think that, I'm doing way better than I ever was in the past. And so they plateau. And again, there's no such thing. It's just you're growing or you're dying. You're going to start to regress in your progress and your happiness. But just another reason is because it's hard. It's hard.
It's
no
plain
fun.
hard.
It's not fun. I remember one time I was so frustrated, and I called this mentor couple that I love, and the wife said, Jamie, when I need to do personal development, I have a big stack of books on my nightstand, and I'm doing this and this. And I'm like, she's telling me it's me, and I need to work on myself right now. And I was already making 7 figures at this point. She was being very sweet, but she was telling me, you need to grow. And I just believe, wherever you're at, like if you're at 50,000 a year and you want to make 100,000 a year, you have to learn and change and grow. And if you're making 100,000 and you want to make 500,000, guess what? You got to learn and change and grow. And if you're making 500,000, you want to make 1 million, got it again. What got you here won't get you there.
It won't get you there. Oh my God. That's, I say that all the time. It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
But it's not
you're also
fun.
saying
it's not fun, right? It's not fun.
No.
So instead we say, hey, maybe I should just cool it. I'll just tell you, when things get uncomfortable, that's right where you should be. When things get hard and you don't want to do it, hopefully maybe you'll hear my voice in your mind and say, oh, you're almost there. Right on the other side of that pain, that adversity, that tough stuff, right on the other side of that is all the good stuff, all the lifestyle, all the, the income, the dreams, the goals. So
100%. It's right there.
Yes. It's just the problem is it's not only, it's like on the other side of the wall, but it's like around the corner. So you can't see it.
Right.
So you just got to go, and you got to do more of whatever it is that's making you so uncomfortable. And guess what? You're past a new comfort zone, and you're a new version of you. And then everything expands, and your abilities, your belief, everything expands. And then you're just, on your way to the next thing, trial.
Something else happens right there. Wow. You just told that so perfectly. The consistency, it's key. And by the way, you mentioned Ed before. Sometimes when I'm at the gym, every so often you'll hear him talk about just do one more, just one more. I literally hear that in my head. And even this morning at the gym, I was going to give up on something. And I'm like, just do one more. But that's what you're saying. It's the same thing. It's the persistency, the consistency, and it is just around that corner, and you got to see around the corner.
Yeah, it also, Ed taught me that years ago. He'd say, Jamie, when you just feel like you're just done for the day, mentally, you're ready, and you want to flip on the TV, let's say, and just veg out, just make 10 more phone calls. Just 10 more, just one more, right? Because what it does is your confidence changes. You're thinking that you have a mental edge on maybe your competition, because you're willing to do the things that others are not willing to do.
All right, I'm on page 2 now. You're giving me too much here. That's another one too. Being willing to do what other people won't do. That's a complete differentiator.
Yeah.
I was going to mention confidence, because as you were talking about the consistency, like every one of those wins, you reach the top of a mountain. Now you're just basically at the bottom of another one. The confidence, it does, you begin to know, like, I can do anything.
Right.
Like I can do anything.
Right.
And the discomfort of I'm sorry for interrupting you. Being comfortable, being uncomfortable is like the way you have to be comfortable in that gray area.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that when you get to the top of whatever that mountain was that you're climbing, you're a different person too. So what you thought was impossible before, now you can see a little bit further, and you can see yourself maybe achieving the next step. So your vision changes because you've grown as a person.
Okay. we definitely need to get, like, you're setting a foundation for, I mean, this story, I didn't know most of this about you. So the story is amazing, and I love it. The book that you wrote is I'm sure going to be amazing. So I have one other question before we get to that. I
Mhm.
saw a reference. I'm not sure if it's something that maybe people around you call you, but something, the balance queen.
No,
Is that real?
people are saying that, I guess.
What is that? What does
Kind of
that mean?
weird. I don't know. But no, I just, you know, a couple years ago, actually a couple years before COVID, I was with Ed, we were hanging out, and he just said, Jamie, you know, I coach a lot of people, and you're the only female that I know that's making the income that you're making, but also happily married, has 4 kids, travels the world, has this amazing lifestyle, but also does so much philanthropy, like really be able to do it all. And he's like, I really think that you need to start sharing more of that. And so he kind of challenged me, and I already had in my mind this idea of happy and strong. So we talked about it. And so I started doing these classes for entrepreneurs, because I'm the most passionate about that. I coach people on how to win a business and leadership development, all these things. But I really love sitting down with a guy that says, you know what, I'm at $250,000 income now, but now I'm fighting with my spouse. I don't know what our roles are anymore. Or, you know, hey, I'm making $500,000, but I don't see my kids. How do I add the balance and the happiness back into it? We've seen so many people that have made millions and then lost it in 2008 or in the COVID crisis. Like it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't real.
Right. Right.
And so I created the Happy and Strong, the movement in the classes, and I loved it. Then COVID hit. And I found myself doing free classes online just for mental wellness because people they were losing it. They didn't really know what to do next with their business, with their agency, with themselves. And so I was helping out there. But what I found, the Happy and Strong book was born during that because so many people were so unhappy. I felt like everyone was in their own little form of depression. And we're now more unhappy than as a nation than we've been in over 50 years.
You could feel it. Like everybody, you could feel it around. Like,
yep.
Like this weird energy around, you know?
Well, there's record divorce, record suicide, youth suicide. There's alcoholism is up, drug addiction, domestic violence, and the use of antidepressants, you know, all these things. And so I just kind of took that advice from Ed of like, you know what, people need to, I would love to share with them, you know, how do you have it all? What good would it be, again, if you're making millions of dollars, but in the end, you're still unhappy, unfulfilled, or you're divorced and your kids don't want to talk to you, or you're unhealthy.
So many people like that. Like you could have all the money in the world, but like, what is the point if you're not? Yes. It's a joy that comes from here.
You're burnout, you're unhealthy, you're spending all your money trying to buy back your health that you sacrificed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you kind of have it where you can have your faith, your family, your fitness, and your financial life strong, and then have the happiness and fulfillment? So again, I had a lot of trial and error over the years, but also had incredible mentors, guys like Ed and several others, you know, John Maxwell, others that have kind of poured into me and helped and developed the mindset and the heart of kind of where this book comes from.
Connect one more dot for me before we get to what's happening now. So we skipped over, I mean, a whole period of your life. So, I mean, you built a significant, you moved on from real estate, right?
That was only,
and you built a significant business.
like a, you know, a few months of learning that wasn't for me.
the chunk, I mean, the bulk of what you do and what you've done, you've built a tremendous business and you've helped a lot of people. Just fill that gap in, like, how did you make that jump? Like, how did that happen?
Okay. So, you know, again, started my business, knowing nothing. I just was seeking out mentors, people that were where I wanted to be, not just financially, but in their life. And so guys like Ed, others that were his mentors. And I also would seek out mentors in my family, you know, people that were incredible moms and, you know, family people, spiritual leaders, stuff like that. But what I did was like you said earlier, I had great work ethic, very, very coachable.
Mm-hmm. That's key. You're coachable. I love that. It's great.
I remember sneaking in. I'd like wake up, it was dark outside, and I would drive hours to go to Ed Milet's office, and I would sneak into his meetings that I wasn't even invited to, and try to get there before he did.
Hang on. We've mentioned this guy's name so many times since we've been talking. People might have no clue who we're talking about.
Oh yes, he's a great guy. He actually has a book coming out right now too.
So explain Ed for a second, just so people know who you're talking about.
Ed's a incredible serial entrepreneur, but just a great guy as far as helping people become better versions of themselves. But he was, one of a few incredible guys that have poured into me over the years and helped me get to where I am today.
Yeah, he's a speaker, he impacts people all around the world. So you have the good fortune of having access to a great mentor and other mentors, like you mentioned. And I think your point of being coachable and seeking out the mentors is brilliant.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he would say something, it wasn't just taking notes and moving on. I would literally have an emergency meeting that night and implement everything that these guys would say and just stumble forward. I was confused half the time, but just kept growing. And so that was one thing. Obviously, there's a lot of people that work hard. I think if you work hard and you're a good person, you're going to beat 80% of the people out there, right?
Probably.
Right. But then there's the dogfight. There's that next 20%. And then there's, I don't know, Ed said my income was in the fraction of 1% of 1%ers. And so, and as a female, it's even lower. So I have no special gifts, no talent that's exceptional. I mean, I'm just like anybody else.
What you're about to say
is
so true. Say this slowly, because what you're about to say is key.
Well, I grew up in a little trailer in Montana, and now where I'm at today, if I can do it, you can do it, period. So
Yes.
The work ethic is one thing, but I think just to be completely honest with you, the thing that got me from doing okay in business, making 6 figures, to quickly making 7 figures and then multiple 7 figures was I was very clear, and I continued to be very clear on what I wanted, my ideal life, where I was going. There's a great, I think it's Mark Twain, a great quote by Mark Twain. He says, I can help anyone get anything they want out of life. I just can't find anybody who knows what they want. So for me, I got very clear on writing down my goals, my dreams. It's kind of like I would take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, draw a line across, and I had 4 quadrants: faith or spiritual goals, personal development goals. Then it was my family goals, relationship goals, fitness, wellness, health, and then my financial goals and my business goals. And so I got very clear on what I wanted as my ideal life in each of those areas, my dream life. And so every day I woke up fired up. Every night I would visualize exactly what I wanted. Things, and I added so much emotion into the plan, where it was not just a goal. It wasn't just a business plan. It was an emotional game plan that refocused me and re-energized me every day. And I just think most people don't take the time to have written goals that are clearly defined, and they don't read them every day. They don't put pictures around their house like a psycho, like I did, and put them on my steering wheel and things like that. I kept it in front of me. During that time, in that really rough time of getting my business off the ground, again, my family back home was struggling. My stepmom was sick in bed. I remember talking to my sister sometimes when she would have to smack her and throw water in her face and drag her back to the bed because she tried to get out and she was like foaming at the mouth. And so every time things got hard, when I thought about quitting or cooling it or taking it easy, I thought about them. I thought about my 9-year-old sister, Jessie, digging through couch cushions to find change to go buy milk for the babies, or carrying them one on each hip to the grocery store because she could only carry so much groceries at a time, and she'd have to go every day after school. And so those things that they emotionally charged me. And so quickly, it wasn't an option. Quitting wasn't an option. Cooling it really wasn't an option. I had to learn to love it. I had to learn to love the grind. I had to learn to love every part of the work. I had to learn to put my team and others before me. I just had this philosophy of, if you help enough people get what they want, you're going to get what you want. And what I wanted was clear. And when I hit all of them, when I hit all my biggest, wildest dreams, I made new ones. I created new ones. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people plateau because they have a finish line. When I make $500,000, I'll be happy or whatever. I don't have a finish line, because when you hit the finish line, you're finished. I don't want to be finished. I want to keep growing. I want to keep getting better. I want to keep, doing more with my life and contributing. So when I hit, a goal, I quickly come up with something new and exciting, and that's passionate to me.
All right. You just convinced me that you're qualified and I'm going to read your book. I hope that you don't mind we took all this time to go through that, because this is the thing. Like, now we're at a point where, like, tell me about the book. Like, I want to hear
Yeah.
everything. What is it? Who's it speaking to?
I think it's really great for entrepreneurs. I'll read Ed Milet wrote the foreword on the book. John Maxwell's endorsed it. So a lot of great people endorsed it, but Sean Covey.
I saw Sean Covey too, right?
Franklin Covey, but I'll read what Ed said. Just as Jaime Villalovos is the real deal, which is rare. She's a great example of how to max out every area of your life and proof that you can have it all. You will feel that when you read this book. This is a must read for all entrepreneurs. So the idea was for entrepreneurs, but it really could be for the mom who just wants to, make more use of the little limited time that she does have. You know what I mean? It could be for someone that just wants to know how to create a compelling vision for them, for their life, to have personal growth. But if it's, the first half of the book really is, how do you get clarity? How do you create your dream business, your dream life? How do you have it all that way? The middle of the book teaches you how to become a leader and build leaders so that you can have more freedom from your business, that you can scale your business, that you can have more lifestyle. And then the second half of the book, that's where all the good stuff is. That's how do you juggle it all? How do you have it all? And then I'm a big student of the science of happiness. So how do you add in all the things for the fulfillment, so that you can, I want you, when you read this book, to be inspired for sure, but to walk away with so many tools, so many tangible, easy to implement things that are going to improve the quality of your business, your income, your success, your lifestyle, your family, your relationships, your marriage, so that you can just absolutely adore your life.
You mentioned Think and Grow Rich. I've read the book 10 times. And when you talk about writing things down, visualizing and adding emotion, anybody who's read that book and who's actually done it and taken action on it knows that these are true universal truths.
Yes.
What you've done, I think, and I haven't read the book because it hasn't come out yet, but I think what you just described is taking a classic book, lived your life by it and mentors and all this other information you've gotten, and you've proven it to be true in your own way, written your own book, which in a way is like the next generation of a Think and Grow Rich.
I think that in the first half of the book, there's probably about 2 chapters that will teach you how to do that, how to manifest things. I've applied that principle, law of attraction, or whatever you want to call it, to pretty much every area of my life, to improve relationships, to win in business, to even improve my health. I became very ill, I don't know, years ago, and I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. They said I was incurable, that I had lupus. My hair had fallen out and I could hardly even move. My muscles would just fatigue even just from walking a short distance. It was horrible. I just felt so terrible because I felt like a bad mom, because I could hardly, walk up the stairs when my kids would be arguing over a toy or something. And so it kind of just messed with my mental game a little bit. So I went to the doctor and she said, it's incurable. We don't know what causes it. Be on this medication for the rest of your life. But I had learned from being around great people for a long time and vision stretchers not to listen to negative people. So I was not gonna listen to that. And so I set a goal, like I did with anything else, a date to be healthy. My affirmation was, I look great, I feel great, and I'm in the best shape of my life, full of energy. And just like anything else, started to become a student now instead of business and creating wealth. It became a student now of my own body, and started to reverse it. It took about 18 months, and it reversed everything. I've been autoimmune free for probably about 11 years.
Hold on, you can't drop that bomb and not tell us how you did that.
Yeah, it's just like anything else. Like, how does this little girl from Montana become, top 1% of income earners? That's what a lot of people think is impossible too, and if they have a certain background. But it's just whatever you can believe, you can make happen. And so I think one of the things is, powerful associations, being around people that are encouraging,
Yes, for sure.
and not negative, like that doctor was. So I've got a new set of doctors that were encouraging me and telling me keep doing it, even though it got worse before it got better. I had lost probably about 30 pounds. My eyes had sunken in, they were dark. My bones were sticking out. It was terrible. But the labs didn't lie. I mean, I would get labs done every 3 weeks. And they say, you're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing.
Actually, we're changing something that they said was impossible to change.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd only had one child at that point, and they said, going on this medication would never cure it, that there was no cure. They would suppress symptoms, but I also couldn't have kids. I couldn't get pregnant on the medication ever again. It was going to ruin my eyes, and it eventually would stop working, and I'd have to get on more medication and more medication. And, I kind of told her, I said, this doesn't sound right. Autoimmune, your body doesn't attack itself, it heals itself. Maybe we should try to explore other options. And she just said, what are you waiting for? Your kidneys to fail? And that's when I said, no, I'm not going to listen to this. I'm going to figure out what's really going on with my body and what I need to do to make changes in my lifestyle to fix it. So, again, that was a big adversity, is a hard thing on my husband and I, just having to completely change my diet for those 18 months. But you know what, again, that adversity was a gift. I probably was not taking good care of myself. I wasn't getting enough rest. I wasn't eating properly. I was just go, go, go. First one in the office, last to leave. Y'all sleep when I'm dead, that kind of thing. And wellness was not on my agenda.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, when you don't learn your lesson a few times, it's going to come back around, and it's going to come back harder till you do learn it. If, again, you're going to be this person that you're meant to be, you got to get all these lessons out of the way. And so to me, that was the hard one that I had to go through at that time. But since then, I am probably an expert on the eating well for my body type and for other people's body types. I've been able.
That's your next book.
I don't want to do another book right now.
Wait a year or two, then that's the next one.
But like I said, the self-care portion is such a big piece now, because I won't burn out. That was another thing that Ed and I talked about. You don't burn out, Jamie. And a lot of my competition does. They plateau, they burn out, they become negative about what
you cover that in the book. You cover the health side of things in the book.
Yeah. There's a whole chapter on. It's called "Put Your Own Oxygen Mask On First." So,
this is why I feel like this is like the next generation, like I mentioned before, of like an older book, because you're covering every other aspect. And your like whole story, it's just amazing. And now we can feel when we read that book, like, wow, we understand like where she came from, how she did it. And this book is like the roadmap.
Yeah. So there is a lot on wellness. There's a lot on balance. There's a lot on just little scripts to help you to be able to take things off your plate, not, to say no when you need to say no to people, to guard boundaries, set boundaries with other people that are wasting your time and sucking your energy. So just a lot of
energy vampires.
Yes. So there's a lot of scripts in there for those. There's a lot, especially women, that have a hard time saying no, setting boundaries, and just protecting their time and their energy. So there's a lot of little stuff, again, for people that just want a better quality of life, to build a great business, to have it all. And so I go into a lot of different stuff, but yeah, wellness is definitely a big part of it.
I have one more question for you, but before we go there, I want you to tell me, so the book is coming out, am I correct, on May 17th?
Yep. It's on pre-sale right now.
It's on pre-sale. I think I ordered on Amazon.
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or pretty much anywhere books are sold, Target, whatever, wherever you go.
And so for anybody that pre-orders it, like on the 17th, mine's going to ship. Am I going to have it the next day so I could just read this thing? I'm looking forward to it.
They're all shipping out May 17th. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that have like agencies or businesses that are buying multiple books for training purposes. And if they buy 10, they actually are going to be doing a meeting with my mentors, Ed and the other ones, of how to build this great life, the things that they taught me. So that's going to be fun too.
Wow. That's an unbelievable value. I didn't know you were doing that. That's, it's beyond valuable. That's amazing. That's really great that you're doing that. Like you've done so much in your life, and if this isn't what you're doing now, I'm sorry, this isn't about money, and I don't feel anything like that coming from you. You're going to help so many people. You already have, but putting something like this out, and you're not here to sell your book. You're here because you're interesting, and we had a great conversation, and I can't wait to read it. But this is like the most valuable thing you can do, which is spread the word, tell the stories, educate and inform people, and like, hopefully you impact, who knows, you impact maybe millions of people. It depends how far it goes, but isn't that why we're here?
Yeah, I mean, you don't make money on selling books. Well, it's just,
no, I mean, we're here to help people.
It's a very small piece of a bigger vision. I wasn't planning on writing a book. Like I said, I thought maybe when the kids move out of the house and they're off to college, that it's an idea. But during COVID, it was just on my heart so much that I had to do it. And I'm really excited about it. I really am. I think that it's going to change a lot of lives. But if it even just impacts someone a little bit to add more joy in this journey of entrepreneurship, to me, that's a big deal. But no, I have a goal of impacting 100 million lives, families, individuals, in different ways. It could be through the education stuff that my businesses do, or through the philanthropy that we're doing around the world. All that stuff ripples out. Ripples out. So yeah, I have a business plan now that goes 100 years past when I pass away. And again, this is just a small piece of kind of a bigger goal.
That in and of itself it's like, that is a mindset, like that, setting that GPS is like, people plan for 20 years. Like, no, I'm planning for 100 years. It changes everything, the perspective, all the numbers, the goals, it changes everything. The last question I have for you is, what would you say now to the 18, 19, 20-year-old version of yourself, knowing everything that you know?
I think just take more risks. Back then I feel like I did take risks, and I was humbled enough to just kind of stay confused and stumble forward. But even more, I think going for it faster, just that you can do it. You're going to have failures and it's going to be uncomfortable, but you can do it. I think that, anybody that's listening, that would be my one message. Like, you can have it all. Don't let anybody tell you any different, especially the women that say, well, I can't be a mom and pursue a dream. You can.
Of course
you can be a great mom and still pursue your dreams and still make contributions in the lives of others. So again, and if I can do it, you can do it. And so I would just tell myself, it's going to be an awesome ride. Just go. Just keep going.
And to add on to what you just said, when you say the words "you can't," words have meaning. You can't say "I can't." Okay, it's you've said it so many different ways throughout our conversation. The mindset that you keep in your perspective. I haven't heard you say the word "can't," I think, in this entire conversation. That can't exist. I want to thank you for coming on. This was really this was amazing.
It's been fun. Thank you.
It was amazing. There's a couple words that you've used, and I end every show by saying to the people that are watching, this show is intended to inspire and motivate, but you have to be humble, you have to hustle, and you have to do the work. That is what we heard today. And if you do that, you can reach your potential. In fact, your potential may not be something, as Jamie, as you said, where there's an end. It just keeps going. Yeah. So thank you again.
We're human beings. So we have this kind of unlimited capacity to continue to grow, to become better, and to improve in every area of our lives. And then when we kind of reach our biggest goals and dreams, I would challenge you to make your goals about others. Focus on others.
Amen.
I see so many people that I've coached, they'll hit a $500,000 income and they're feeling good. They're making more money than anyone in their family ever made. But I challenge them. I'll take them to one of our orphanages, like I said, in Uganda or somewhere. And I'll let them just hug on these babies in these, orphanages in Uganda. And I'll tell them, look at what just this little tiny bit of money can do. Look at what a difference that we can make. And so my goal right now, my biggest goal right now in all my companies is not just to teach people, or sell products. It's to build leaders. And so equipping people with leadership skills, and then also teaching them how to make money and attract wealth. If someone has money and they have leadership skills, they can change the world. They can change their world. So my goal is to build up these leaders with money and plant a seed in their heart, like light a little fire in their heart about philanthropy, charity. And so everybody's different. You know, one person may be passionate about helping kids with autism. Another one might be passionate about building orphanages in, you know, Sierra Leone. Another might be wanting to end sex trafficking. Who knows? But if I can build a leader and put that in their heart, then they'll keep going past 500,000.
For sure.
It's not about them. It's about others.
That's
and
right.
Then again, you have this unlimited capacity to continue to grow. I know that I can do some good right now, and I'm loving, you know, all the work that we're doing in the philanthropy part, but I can't write a check for just tens of millions of dollars right now. I'm not there yet.
Not yet.
I have friends that do that, and I'm like,
Right.
dang, I have a lot of room for growth. I still need to work to get there so I can make a bigger difference. So yeah, I think that we can get very comfortable very easy as human beings. It's our natural state to be apathetic about things, about our goals, about
So true. So true.
about so many things. So that's why we have to, champions invest a lot of time in themselves, figuring out what turns them on, what lights their fire, what makes them emotional, what injustice do they want to correct, what good do they want to do, what do they want to do for their family, their parents, their kids, what's this dream life that they would love to have? If money were no object, what would they be doing with their time? Champions invest a lot of time to figure out what fuels their fire so that they keep going and they keep growing.
Whew. That's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I almost forgot. I don't want to forget to. So tell everybody, where can we reach you? How can we reach you? What do you want to share?
Okay. Well, I mean, I think one of the best places is Instagram at Jaime.Villalovos. Yeah, at Jaime.Villalovos, and my happyandstrong.com website. They can connect with me there, the email. They can ask questions. They can always DM me on Facebook or Instagram. There's a Happy and Strong Facebook too. But yeah,
you really answer. You actually answer those.
Yeah, of course.
Good.
And then of course, obviously through the book, I'd love for them to connect with me there. And I challenge them in the book to share eventually their stories with me. That when
fantastic. That's fantastic. Obviously, all that information when this gets published is going to be down below in the description, so it'll be out there forever. And listen, thank you again. I'm inspired. Like, I'm inspired pretty much all day long. But you 10x'd me. Like, I'm ready to go.
Awesome.
I'm ready to go. So again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy, you have a lot going on, but this is really valuable to anybody that watches it. So thank you again.
Thank you. You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
All right. And we're going to follow up with you, and we're going to see how this all goes after the book comes out, and we're going to keep in touch and keep everybody updated.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks again.